I love a conversation with a chemist and an engineer.
Yeah.
Like when I started this, I knew, and I was already encountering it. That was part of kind of bumping my head in Oklahoma too, because one, Oklahoma didn't have the infrastructure to get what I needed done. So I had to go outside of Oklahoma, but trying to press to find it in Oklahoma. And I remember being in a boardroom in Nichols Hills with some investors and some different individuals. And here I have my prototypes, and some folks had a performa. Yeah. But because of who they were, what they saw more value there. It was helping me see that stereotypes, prejudice, and biases were real. Mm-hmm. But remember, my career, I was in the cable and internet space as a government prime contractor. Yeah. I was the only African-American woman in the space in a male-dominated industry. I had already gone through the challenge as a teenager of coming into a new environment. Do you think I was scared of how people would see me or perceive me? In fact, those experiences taught me to develop systems to navigate through that and not get lost in I knew what I was doing was working, because exactly what you said earlier and what I shared, people were already telling me. I remember with my patent attorneys, and they said, how does it feel to reinvent plastic? And they told me, I remember when I was in there and I brought it to them, you really put the big boys to shame with this one. So when you have people that have the skills and the knowledge and expertise, and then when I talk to a chemist and they would say to me, keep going, you got the right track. And then some would say, I remember being at a Rotary meeting, and there were several chemists and engineers in the meeting here, and they said they knew why I needed to not be a chemist, because chemistry would think inside of a box. It teaches you to look and think at things in a certain box, and my thought was outside of the box, so I wouldn't have seen it if I was a chemist. Right. But I have been in meetings and with some of the largest global players in the world in the plastic space. I remember getting a call from one of the largest additive companies, the CEO in the world, the largest actually additive company, and he simply said, congratulations. And I have been in the room and had the conversation with both those who respected the work that I had done and those who made it very apparent that they did not respect not the work that I'd done, but they would press me to prove more than they would ever press my counterpart to prove. And I learned that I don't have to give an answer or fight or battle that with everyone, because also what I learned in the process of dealing with many of those, they were still so stuck or trapped in the box and the systems, they didn't know how to navigate outside of them. Yeah. I literally had some that the way testing is for even plastics, some couldn't wrap their head around. I had literally trademarked, this is the reality, Utopia Plastix has its own lane and definition of what it is. It is not plastic. So if you don't understand that Utopia Plastix is not plastic, you will never think outside of the box. Right. So what I am saying to you is, I created a plant-based material that can be used in plastics applications without you modifying your equipment. So I was in meetings where the light bulb went off and they literally said, we now have to rethink how we think about plastics. And I remember someone a long time ago, there's a movie, The Graduate, and he says in it, son, I have one word for you for the future. There's going to be a lot of money in it. And he said, plastics. And it was the way he said it. I know he meant plastics, Plastix. So I jokingly say that, and I use that because that was like a foreshadow.
Yeah.
But that in this space, I learned to look for, and I tell people, even when a manufacturer reaches out to us, if you're spending more time focused on my IP, then you are using my material in your application, you're the wrong partner. You're telling me what you're doing by creating that demand. People that take our material and use it and understand it, it does not. While it performs, it's clearly, I've even had people who, with the naked eye, you could clearly see, but that people will refuse to see it. And I'm like, that tells me a whole lot about a lot of things as well. So I just don't stay in the spaces of battling that. Because at the end of the day, I am here. What I have is real. People have followed me. I've shared this journey. If anybody was on my social media, why I think so many people locally or that were in that, and as it grew, championed for what we were doing, is because they saw the whole process. I openly shared it. I did a lot of things a lot of people didn't. Now, I did create frustration for some people because I chose not to move into the box or say yes to them from their demand because of their entitlement. There is still a fair amount of, whether it's from in the investment world, from I'm a corporation, there's still this thing that people have that sometimes they're just upset that it's not them.
Yeah.
But you know what? We've always invited people to join us on a journey. But the thing about Utopia and what makes it where everybody is good and everybody is taken care of is because we don't allow that greed, that space of I'm entitled, I should own it. The people that came to me, why are you letting other companies make the materials with your products? You should do that. No, I shouldn't. I'm focused on, I am a compounded pelletized resin provider. I don't make products.
Yeah.
I am allowed to be broad that way because that's my business model. So there are people that want your model to be what they want it to be to satisfy their need. So I just look for the right partners. And, I am going to maintain being true to me. And there are people that, sometimes that's the most daunting part is I just try not to focus on them, because at the end of the day, I've always said this, and people that worked for me, life is your race to run. Mm-hmm. The thing about it is you are in your lane. If you focus on the people in the other lanes or that might be in front of you, guess what? You don't see if they're tiring out. If you focus on people behind you or what they're doing, you're going to lose your own wind. I stay focused on Sharina's lane. In the process, you know what? I don't have to beat up on anybody else. I don't have to exploit negatives of anybody, because the value of what I have is in what I have done. This is my race to run, and ultimately all I have to do is endure to the end.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm going to keep doing, and keep cheering and celebrating on the way and encouraging. This journey is encouraging other people to tap into their why as they're hearing the story and they're walking in the path, and tap into their gifts and creating solutions. It's causing the people who are willing to listen, whether I'm a venture capitalist, whether I'm a CEO, whether I'm a community leader, is causing them to listen to how they can change and reimagine how things would be to create opportunity for the others as well as for themselves.